So here we go. Today we're going to talk about Assetto Corsa and how realistic it is, as we've been doing it for a couple of years now across all the major racing games. And yeah, this one's been a long time coming. The amount of comments I've had in the last few months telling me to do this video has been insane. And the reason there was a hold up on this video was because I was waiting for Race Sim Studios, one of the best mod developers on Assetto Corsa, to finish their McLaren 720S GT3 Evo mod, or should I say the RSS GTM Maca 72 V8 Evo. Really rolls off the tongue, that one, doesn't it? But yeah, good old licensing issues. This is the car I have the most experience with in real racing, and my last outing in the car was in Barcelona, which was in October 2025, so a little while ago now. And we've actually done this test on two Kunos titles already, Assetto Corsa Competizione and Assetto Corsa Evo, so it will be very interesting to see how the original Assetto Corsa stacks up. And yeah, let's give it a crack. How realistic is Assetto Corsa? Let's find out. Right, let's kick things off then. So Assetto Corsa came out in 2014, so it's quite old. In fact, I was still in secondary school when that came out, so that tells you how old it is. But what that does mean, though, it's had a lot more time than a lot of other sim titles to get things right. It's a lot more mature. The car mod, however, is a lot newer. It came out very recently. It came out Christmas Day 2025, so it is very, very fresh. The track mod we're using is effectively the baseline Assetto Corsa Spa made by Kunos with a 2025 F1 track extension built by a creator called Pyyer, who does lots of different track extensions for the various F1 tracks. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is the most up-to-date, the best version of Spa we're going to get for Assetto Corsa. And as we know, mods in Assetto Corsa, if you have a shit mod, it ruins your entire driving experience basically. So yeah, I think in the mods department, we're giving Assetto Corsa the best chance to impress. And yeah, a little disclaimer, I've not had any influence on this car. I did get invited by the devs to, you know, give feedback and help them get it closer to realism, but I did politely decline. I wanted to stay impartial, unbiased. So yeah, there's no hidden agendas here. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. And I will say so. So yeah, a couple of things before we get driving. So session conditions are pretty normal. So clear weather, 3 p.m. time of day, 23 degrees air temperature, and optimum track grip. And if we just load the car setup, so I did make a few tweaks to the default setup that came with the mod. You got all the standard stuff you would usually get. There's a couple of cool things I quite like though. So the air jack system page, you can turn off or on the air jack that is underneath the car. That's the thing that lifts the car up so the team can work on the car and take the wheels off and stuff like that. So I thought that was quite cool that you could turn that off and on. Another thing that I quite liked was the under drivability where it says pit limiter speed. You can adjust that, which is quite cool because that does change from track to track. So for example, at Donington, it might be 60 kilometers an hour. Then in Barcelona, it might be 50. So being able to tweak that was, I thought, just a nice little touch. The car does seem slightly down on straight line speed compared to the real car on every straight, basically. So it could be setup related, could be just a general mod thing. I'm not 100% sure, but it's just good to know before we get driving. Okay, so as you can see on the left-hand side, tyre warmers are enabled. Ignore the blue colour because you can see 70 degrees, which is hot. So, as we always do in these experiments, we're going to assess the sound first. So let's fire it up. Ignition on. I'm going to pretend like I haven't heard that before, but it's very good. Like, the starting sound, even the sound now, while it's just sat idling, sounds spot on, I think. But pit limiter enabled, let's engage first. Even the sound on the end of the pit limiter sounds spot on. So like, all these sounds so far sound really good. I don't think it's bad, you know. I don't think it's a million miles away. It's not perfect. I think it's closer than every other sim we've tried though, in terms of the internal onboard audio. It's not as aggressive and raw, but it's the right sound. And yeah, under braking and when you're coasting, and I think it sounds very good. Even the little turbo noises, but the sound under braking I think is really good. The downshifts, and I'll just drive for a minute. The noise when you're full throttle going through the gears could be better. I'll slam hard on the brakes and span down the gears. I think it sounds really similar when you do that. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think the onboard audio is really good. Let's try the external audio quickly. I'm gonna guess that it's pretty good because most games capture this really well. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, it's there or thereabouts, isn't it? It might not be the best external audio we've heard from all the Sims, but it's pretty good. I'd say that sounds like the McLaren. So, nice. Good job. Good job on the audio all round, really. Back in the pit. So there is this weird thing that I can't seem to get rid of, and it's like a inbuilt auto clutch, because I'm in first gear, I'm not pressing my clutch pedal, and it's engaging the clutch, and it automatically feeds the clutch out the perfect amount. So that is annoying, because I can't then do a burnout. You know, if I do press my clutch down, hard throttle, see, like, it just engages the clutch, so you can't do the quick pullaways out of the pit box that you would in real life, but that's a small little bugbear of mine. Anyways, let's touch on the graphics for a minute. So I'm using the custom shaders patch, which is a mod effectively for Assetto Corsa that enhances a lot of the graphics and stuff. And yeah, I've got everything turned up to the max. I'm getting a solid 200, 190 FPS on a 1440p ultra wide. So yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, my PC specs are in the description below on the sim equipment page link. So if you want to see my PC specs, go and check that out for your own reference. But yeah, I think Assetto Corsa, I mean, it's been around for a while, right? But it's very, very, very well optimized. For me, in my opinion, it's one of the best sims to play in VR because it's so well optimized. You get like a really crisp, really smooth experience from, yeah, every time I've tried it. I'd say the graphics themselves, I don't think they're the best of every sim out there. Like, they look good. I just think they look a little bit fake. Yeah, too much contrast, a little bit gamey. Yeah, I mean, they do look good, but I don't think they look that realistic, if you know what I mean. So I know there's a lot of adjustability in the graphics with the custom shaders patch, but I'm literally running things pretty much out of the box, just turned up to the max on the latest custom shaders patch. So, but yeah, that's my take on the graphics for Assetto Corsa. I mean, you can see in the dash cam in the center of the console the flames coming out the back when we're braking hard and going down the gears. So, you know, I've definitely never seen that in the real car before. I think if that was the case, my arse would be very, very hot. But yeah, a little side note, I think once Assetto Corsa Evo's graphics are optimized, they will be the best in sim racing. They're not quite there yet, but I love the way they look. The optimization's just not good enough yet. But yeah, that's what we'd expect, given that this is Assetto Corsa Evo's predecessor, basically. So you'd expect the graphics on the new game to outperform that of the old game. So no, nothing surprising there. Another thing, right? Look at the driver's wrists when I really turn the wheel. Like, what is going on there? And why are his hands so big as well? My field of view's 36, and his hands are massive. Let me stop. That's probably going to be a bit easier. Look at the size of his hands. Like, no joke. Comparing them with my hands and my wrist, they're like double the size. And yeah, his wrist, I mean, I think this guy needs to go and see a physio or something. Anyways, let's get some of the negative points out of the way for a minute. So, the first one would be that there's no rubbered line in Assetto Corsa. So, although you can see a rubbered line, there's not really a rubbered line. It's the same grip pretty much across the entire track, At least it feels that way. There's no marbles offline as well. So as I've said in previous videos, that's a massive thing in real life, particularly in a race. A rubbered line develops and there's lots of marbles off that rubbered line. There are different track states in Assetto Corsa, like there are in Assetto Corsa Competizione. So, you know, having a fast track or a green track or an optimum track. Obviously, as I said earlier, we're on an optimum track right now. And yeah, another negative would be, and for me this might be one of the worst areas of Assetto Corsa, and that's the way the cars handle bumps and curbs. You can really feel every bump when you go over it. In fact, a good example of this would be coming out the pits. So if I just go around this tight little right-hander, in the real car you wouldn't feel any of this, but going around the right-hander, you can feel all the bumps. It feels like the road is just not put together properly, and you can feel those bumps. It's the only way I can describe it, really. And yeah, you just wouldn't feel that in the real car. You don't really feel too many bumps or too many curbs at all. It does feel very smooth when you're driving the real car. You know, you're all over these curbs in real life, taking them, the right one, the left one, and the car's just, it does not like them at all. And that goes for me, that goes for any car on any track in Assetto Corsa. The curbs are just horrible. So yeah, definitely one of my biggest negatives when it comes to this sim. So yeah, that does mean you have to approach certain sections of track or certain corners slightly differently in this sim than you would in the real car, because you can't take the curb or the bump in the same way. So, you know, for example, in Pith Path, in real life, you might nibble the right-hand side curb, but if I go to do that in this, it just upsets the car way too much. In the real car, you barely feel that.
Butter.
So yeah, the car in real life a lot more compliant over bumps, over curbs in the way the suspension behaves. Moving on from that though, let's do what we always do and do a little damage test and see how this thing reacts if we stack it in the wall. Off. Oof. Right, it's definitely broken. Still a bit forgiving, you know. I think the car would be absolutely wrecked. Well, we know it would be. We've seen GT cars shunt at Eau Rouge before, and it's a lot worse than that. Let's have a look at the external damage quickly. Yeah, it's just the suspension. Bodywork is fine. I mean, I've definitely got the damage turned up to the max. So, yeah, not much of a damage model there, is there? Just the suspension, really. The bodywork's absolutely fine. Oh, I've just noticed. If you've noticed already, I've got the Garage 59 livery from this year. They've got Tom Fleming, Guy Oliveira, and Miguel Ramos. It's not me, because Miguel drove the car before me. He did the first half of the season, I did the second half. It's like I was never there. Okay, so one thing I've not done in one of these videos before is a pit stop test. And I want to do it because I think there's quite a few good little things in here that would be quite useful to practice in real life. So you can see we're approaching the pit entry. The pit entry spot on this track mod is way too early. It's here, and it should be at where that white line is. So that's a bit of a flaw. Another flaw is how stable this pit limiter is. You can see it's barely moving, apart from when we go over the bumps. So in real life, it does ebb and flow a little bit more than this. You know, that's perfectly balanced. But yeah, the engine auto kill is enabled. You can see that engine pre-kill on. So like in real life, I actually press a button in real life, but when I come to a stop, it kills the engine automatically. And then it's got this cool pit stop animation, which, I don't know, I did it and I was quite surprised and I quite liked it. So yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. And then my starter button is mapped to this button here, like in real life. So when the moment comes, I should be able to just hold it. Or not. Press the starter button to start the engine. I am. The ignition's on, yeah. Right, well, if that worked, that would have been really good. I have a pit speed limit that's accurate, because you can tune it. I've got an engine auto kill, which is accurate. I've got a lovely pit stop animation. And then if that worked, I'd be able to dump the clutch and press the starter button to get a fast pull away. It was almost very good. So I thought I'd show you it anyway, though. By the way, if you're enjoying this, let me know down in the comments below what other sim titles I should try this on before making a final tier list video, basically saying which sim is the most realistic. Let me know. Right, next thing, let's talk about braking. So, typical Kunos title, the braking is very similar to that of ACC, that of AC Evo, where it's a case of just slamming the brake to 100% in-game, like that, is the most effective way to stop the car, which is not realistic. I mean, you can see the ABS lights working on the dash when I hit the brakes hard, right there. There you go, front and rear. But they don't really mean anything. I mean, you can subtly feel the ABS working through the car. Like, I can feel it engaging. I can feel that through my force feedback ever so slightly. But yeah, there's no finesse required on the brake pedal to compensate for that. You just simply push through it, ignore it, you know, pretend it's not there, slam on the brake 100%, and the car will slow down as efficiently as it can. Whereas in real life, you know, if you push through ABS, the car just does not stop, or it doesn't stop very well. So, at least the McLaren, that's the case. Might be different in other cars. So yeah, not ideal, but to be fair, a lot of sims lack in this area. iRacing have got it probably the closest, even if their version is a little extreme. And yeah, as well as this, on the braking topic, so AC, or Assetto Corsa, doesn't simulate brake temps influencing the tyres, you know, tyre temperatures, tyre pressures, whereas ACC does, so I'm guessing they didn't get around to doing that for AC1 before they released ACC. Now, it may seem like I'm being overly negative so far, but let's talk about how this thing generally feels through the wheel, through the force feedback. It feels pretty bloody good. Like, it feels not far away from the real thing at all. My first impressions were, I was very impressed with the feeling, to be honest. Again, I'm running things out of the box for the most part, you know, in terms of in-game settings, but also, you know, I'm just running my typical Assetto Corsa SimIQ profile on my wheelbase. And yeah, the force feedback feels mega, I think. Pretty close to the real car. I'm running it at around 8.5 Newton meters in terms of the strength. But yeah, the way the car loads up the tyre, I can feel that really well. I think that feels really nice. I can feel the weight of the car really well behind the wheel. That realistic numbness I always go on about, you know, because these cars have power steering. I think it simulates that quite well. There's not any artificial detail or anything like that. It feels right. It feels really nice through the wheel. I know I just slated the braking in terms of how you have to drive the car to unlock the lap time by slamming the brake pedal, but the way the car feels under braking, I think, again, is really good. So we've got a heavy braking zone coming up, so if I slam on the brakes and go down the gears quickly, the car feels really loose, alive, not glued to the track. Let's try it again at turn 1. Yeah, it feels nice. It's how it is in the real car. The car is moving around under braking, and it feels a little bit, the balance is on the front and the rear feels a bit loose. And a lot of sims, when you're braking, I feel it feels like the car's glued to the road and on rails. So that for me makes this feel more like a race car as opposed to a car on a simulator. You know, when I'm letting the car roll mid-corner, when I come off the brake and let it roll for a little bit, it feels right. You know, it doesn't have any, or it doesn't seem like it's got an excessive amount of engine braking, which again, I feel like other sims maybe have that, where you come off the brake, you don't go on the power, and the car just feels like it's slowing down so much. This feels like it's rolling a realistic amount. The only thing I would criticise when it comes to the driving and the feeling, and it's something I've known about for a long time actually on Assetto Corsa, because I've done some Assetto Corsa esports championships in the past, And it's the fact that you can abuse the front and rear slip angles to gain lap time. And when I say that, I mean you can abuse them an unrealistic amount. Not Project Motor Racing amounts, but still, more than you would in the real car, which makes it less realistic. I think this is also the reason why slides feel quite progressive and quite easy to catch, which actually can lead to a little bit of power sliding if you really take the piss with it. So, for example, on the exit of the first corner, if I just slam the throttle, I mean, we've got TC saving us there. Let me turn TC off, and this is another thing together. And yeah, let's try and get the rear out through Le Com and through Sector 2, and you can just see how easy it is to control. So, it's a bit loose on entry. Got TC off, remember. The rear's just not coming round. It's just very, very easy to control, and it feels like there's just too much grip. Really strange. You know, I'm in a low gear there, in a traction zone, and the rear's barely coming out. I can't get the rear to kick out. And when I do have a slide, it's too easy to save. In real life, it feels a bit more snappy. You know, you have grip, and then, whoop, it's gone. And you can save it, but you can also not save it. And that's why you see a lot of drivers spinning and crashing in real life. But yeah, you definitely wouldn't see me power sliding in real life to go faster. Especially on those Pirellis, because that would not go down well. So yeah, it's the same as Assetto Corsa Competizione in a way, in terms of my comments I said in that video, where you can abuse the slip angles, you can abuse the braking. So when you really want to go fast in this game, and you want to drive it at the limit, it just makes for a it just makes for a slightly strange, unrealistic, gamey, arcadey driving style, which, yeah, it's not that realistic when you're driving it at the limit. Another thing we'll mention quickly, but we won't dwell on it, is wet weather physics. So this game, you know, when it was built in 2014, or when it was released in 2014, it wasn't released with rain in mind. You can get wet weather to an extent through mods, so like the Sol Weather app, for example. But yeah, they're more visual effects really more than anything. So yeah, the wet weather on the original Assetto Corsa is nowhere near that of an iRacing. So yeah, that's another cross in the box, if you want to call it that. But we'll give it the benefit of the doubt because it came out so long ago and it's not had that much development in recent years anyway. Alright then, so as we always do, let's take this for a little hot lap with the McLaren at Spa in Assetto Corsa. Let's line this up, get a good exit off the final chicane. Shifting on the blue, like we always do in real life. Nice and deep into T1. And you can see we have got traction control turned back on, but yeah, absolutely no problem getting the power down there, even though we slammed on the power. Eau Rouge, easy flat. Steering goes a bit heavy up Eau Rouge, which again, that does sort of happen in real life, as I think the power steering struggles with Eau Rouge a little bit. Into Sector 2 though, you can see I think we're a little bit down on straight line speed. Didn't like that curve, did it? Pretty decent Le Com. Send it in hard for Rivage. Be it off. Avoid the gravel on the exit of No Name. That'll slow us down. Into Pujon. The car is quite nervous under braking on the rear, so I could slow down the downshift to compensate for that. Just give the car a little bit more room to breathe. Pretty nice through there. Into Stabilo 1. Very important to get a good exit there. Stabilo 2, easy flat. just feels a little bit dead on the straights, a little bit gutless. And I'm sure if you've got two speed graphs, one for this lap and one of the real car, that's where we would be losing the majority of time, is on the straights. Into the final chicane then. What's it going to be lap time wise? 2:16.8. Felt like a decent enough lap. It's quite slow. We're in quali trim. We're low fuel. Everything's turned up to the max. Obviously the track mod, there's a few variables that could be inaccurate, but that's probably about 2-3 seconds off where it should be compared to real life. So yeah, I think the majority of that is straight line speed, but yeah, as I say, maybe the track mod's slightly inaccurate and could be a number of things. So what I will say then, to summarise this video, is that this is of course the home-going retail version of Assetto Corsa, but there is actually something called Assetto Corsa Pro, which is something that's usually given through licenses to professionals or developers for their own specific uses, and it is very expensive. But what it does, it gives you advanced data and access basically to tweak the physics and telemetry of the sim. R-Factor's got something similar. It's called R-Factor Pro. Anyways, the point I'm getting to here is that I've driven on a high-end sim in a GT3 car on a Assetto Corsa Pro that was heavily tuned to be really realistic, and it was without doubt the most realistic experience I've ever had on a sim. So to summarise this video then, yes, there were quite a few negative points, but I know that the potential of this sim, when everything's done right, everything's tuned correctly, is insane. It can be incredibly realistic. This though, the home-going version with these mods and out-of-the-box settings, is solid. You know, it does a lot of stuff very well. It also is lacking in quite a few areas as well, as we've covered. So I can't sit here and say it's fully realistic. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.